What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here, man, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, that's gonna make us question everything. So you can sit back, let's do what we do best, man. Say it with me, y'all. Yeah, I know what we do. Let's seek the truth.
Man claims he found a fallen angel deep inside this hole.
The sounds coming from underneath are coming up, as experts have found a violent, angry, unearthly creature screaming from below, and they won't stay there. People were terrified after a man found a hole where he described being able to feel the evil coming out of it next to the Euphrates River, where pure screams of agony and heavy chains were heard echoing in what seemed to be a cavernous space underground, and it seemed as if something or someone is waking up, and when it does, this will be the end of us all. The book of Enoch describes God chaining fallen angels underground and warning that they will not be awakened or allowed out until Judgment Day. But the haunting audio showing the chains seemingly snapping and the screams getting louder and stronger.
They had the chains.
The angels seemingly fully aware someone was there and recording, cautioning us all that they are awake and here, saying a skin-crawling greeting hello.
Dan, I can't believe it! It's an orb! It's an orb. Look, it's been following us, man, while we've been fishing. There it is, right there, right there, right there. It's crazy. It's weird, man. Look at that thing, man. It's just like hovering, not even moving.
All
Every
confirmed.
now and then it moves, like when we get close to it, like it's gonna leave. I think it's like checking us out.
It really is.
I don't know, man. It's kind of scaring me. It's kind of scary, man. Just look at that thing again. There it is. It's just hovering, dude. What a trip. I never thought they were real. Wow. Out here at Whiskey Town Lane.
4K.
Did you ever go down a water slide where you couldn't breathe and were underwater the entire time? Well, this absolute nightmare of a ride actually existed. This ride was called Flyover, and it was built in 1994 at a water park in the Netherlands. Unlike a normal water slide, you would actually enter underwater and then dive into the entrance. This is already a no from me. Now, the ride itself was basically just a giant sealed tube, completely filled with water, that connected two different pools together. And once you decided to go down it, there was no turning back. The current would literally suck you through the tube and then drop you out the other side. Riders would be fully submerged in water and unable to breathe for 15 to 20 seconds, which is already enough time for most people to start panicking. But the people who rode it often said that it felt like a lot longer than that, because you can't see clearly, you can't breathe, and you're just being blindly pushed through a dark tube. Now, luckily, if something ever went wrong, the ride was designed so that the entire tube can be completely drained of water in 8 seconds, in case they had to get someone out quickly. And surprisingly, there were no reported injuries or deaths with this slide. But it was closed in the early 2000s because not a lot of people wanted to ride it. So let me know in the comments if you think you'd be brave enough to try it, because I wouldn't.
That's a no again for me. Those are some ready people who got in that freaking underwater slide, man. Wait, Michigan. I see those freaking warm waters.
You gotta be kidding me, guys. What is going on here? Watch this. Watch what happens. Keep looking. Watch this. No! Let me slow it down, bro. Come on. Pay attention, guys. This is wild. What the? Who the hell is that? That's what we doing now? People coming out of nowhere on the news? Who's that guy? People are saying that that was a time traveler, right? People are also saying that he came out of a portal, right? But is that possible? Like right on camera so people can see it on national television? This is what I heard. I don't know if that's national television, to be honest with you. Stop playing with me, son. This video is for entertainment purpose only. I don't think that video is real. I don't care what nobody says. People are appearing and disappearing out of nowhere, guys. It's over. I think you're worried about the wrong things. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game, guys. You know what's happening. But I'll tell you one thing. If I'm ever walking down the block and somebody appears out of nowhere just like that and I see it with my own eyes, go back to where you came from, dogs.
This thing has been here hours. Metal didn't make it. If the metal did not melt, at least it would conduct the heat and keep the heat for so long that you couldn't get near it, well, within hours. Well, look at that. You can take this off.
It's touching it.
they were in the oven at 2,200 degrees.
Okay, this is actually insane. So I guess these tiles are the same things they use to put on the outside of the shuttle that's re-entering the atmosphere and being exposed to like over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is insane. It would melt most metal, anything, honestly. But the stuff is made out of some silica ceramic stuff, basically glass foam, and I guess it makes it hard for heat to transfer through it. And I don't know who came up with this or who figured it out. They have to be a genius, obviously. But like what he's showing in the video, it's able to withstand just about any heat, it seems like. So all the space stuff and the NASA stuff is just insane, and oftentimes I question it because I just don't understand how it's possible. But here you have actual proof of how these tiles work and how they can re-enter the atmosphere.
But how is he picking it up though? Didn't he say it was like 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit? He was just picking it up like it was nothing. So I don't know if it really got that oven that they put it in really went to that temperature though. How they played it our faces?
Is the best map of the world in the world. You may think that globes are the most accurate view of Earth, but globes have major problems. You can only see one side at a time, so the hemispheres feel separate, and why do they make it look like the Pacific and Atlantic are two separate oceans when they're both the same body of water? So to make a better map, you could split the globe into triangles and unfold it to make a Dymaxion map. Have you ever noticed that the continents are all like a cluster in the middle, and then we're surrounded by one big ocean? Most other maps really obscure this structure, but this view also makes it easy to see how humans migrated, and how if Russia and Alaska could share like one cable, we could connect the entire world's power grid, which isn't exactly obvious looking at a globe. The inventor of this map, Buckminster Fuller, believes switching to it would advance our species because it'll be easier for humans to act like we're all one crew once we see that we're all on one ship.
We're all connected. Is that a sphinx face on a mountain? No way, man.
The last few weeks, a major jump in AI capabilities has produced such systems. We have now entered the new paradigm, AI agents. Last week, we found out that hackers manipulated Claude Code to break into Mexican government systems and steal data on over 100 million people. It planned and executed most of the sophisticated campaign itself. And now we're starting to see loss of control incidents. These include agents stealing passwords, harassing developers, and modifying themselves to evade shutdown in order to achieve the often mundane goals they have been given. Over the weekend, we found out that Chinese tech giant Alibaba produced an agent that, unbeknownst to their engineers, had created an elaborate hack to mine cryptocurrency for itself, despite being given a completely unrelated goal. These loss of control incidents are concerning because they are the precursors to agents that could permanently evade human control and act adversarially in ways we cannot detect or stop. This is why hundreds of leading scientists, business leaders, and policymakers are calling AI an extinction risk. AI development is now a national security emergency and needs to be treated as such, and no country can manage it on its own. Our strongest card is to convene talks, propose solutions, and lay the groundwork for an AI treaty that the US and China might sign when they wake up to the crisis and realize they have no alternative. Note that heads of Anthropic and Google DeepMind recently stated that they are willing to pause AI development if other companies do the same. Currently, governments have little to no visibility into AI agent populations or activity. This means the incidents that have been publicly reported are very likely just the tip of the iceberg. This AI agents is like that initial outbreak in the wet market in Wuhan, China. Most of the world is still unaware of its implications.
That was scary, bro. I didn't even know things like AI agents existed until I saw this clip, man. They freaking hacking in and stealing all of our information. You guys know I didn't find this on the mainstream news. Found it through clips. So you can only begin, I guess, to think what they doing with our info, bro. That's crazy, man. You need to regulate AI. Do something.
If you live in Tennessee, you need to hear about this. ASAP. Tennessee just passed a bill to allow people to use deadly force. And not just for self-defense, but to protect your property. We're talking burglary, theft, trespassing, and even damage to the property. Now, with that being said, I know some people that's gonna play stupid. You just heard the power it gives these people, them homeowners. So if you come in there thinking you finna go rob something, and you see that man with the blicky,
you're cooked.
He gonna blow your ass away. So please don't be stupid. You got people actually complaining saying this gives the homeowners too much power.
But if I'm in Tennessee and I own a blicky and somebody trying to come up in my shit, I'm gonna blow your ass away too. People talking about, well, that's a little too excessive because if somebody rob your house or somebody cause damage to your property, that shouldn't make you take their life because you don't get the life back, but you can replace all the stuff that they either stole or broke. And I'm just like, well, if you value your life, why would you come in my shit? Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this down below in the comments. Is this a big win for Tennessee or is it an L?
Maybe, just maybe, and I'm just thinking here, maybe people could just stop robbing houses or try to steal stuff from houses. That would stop it all together, man. But people still, man, even with that, new laws Tennessee just gave, you know there's still going to be somebody who's going to try it, bro. Like you said, if you walk up into somebody's property in Tennessee now, home property, bro, you're cooked, man. If you see what they got, it's over. GG's. Game over, bro. Don't do it.
I think because you're still young, it means when they grow up, they kill you.
This terrifying video comes from Dorota on YouTube. I'll tag it below. And while visiting an island in New Guinea, him and his team stayed the night with a tribe full of cannibals. And while they did have a translator and guide, you can tell they were incredibly uncomfortable, especially when the chieftain began acting irrational. This became especially apparent when the chieftain began taking a special interest in the cameraman. And even though the tribe was running low on food, they kept feeding the cameraman. Here's that clip. Take a look.
More.
And it didn't put us at ease knowing that this was the last of their food.
He said, I think because you're still young, it means when they grow up, they kill you. That's what they do.
Oh yeah? So they'll kill him for some reason. Why would they kill the camera guy?
This is the first time we had heard the tribe sounding violent, and we weren't sure if it was a joke or a threat. But for some reason, they were taking a liking to Michael, our cameraman.
Run, Michael, run.
They just keep saying they were, and they just wouldn't stop feeding him.
They really want to fatten you up.
So if I don't want to eat this,
maybe just eat it. Just yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, very good.
Michael was feeling pretty uncomfortable, so I tried to wrap up the dinner.
We get some sleep. See everyone's worried? Cool. Are you actually worried?
I mean, they did seem pretty interested in me. And they are cannibals, so I don't think it's that predictable.
Yeah.
Demi?
Yeah.
Why does Demi keep saying, yeah, they seem happy?
He does keep saying.
Thankfully, him and his team were unharmed in the making of this video. You can see the full thing over on their channel. And let me know, what would you do in this situation?
Oh, I'm out.
Have y'all seen where they said they found Jesus Christ's body in a hidden chamber in the Great Pyramid of Giza?
What?
So they said they found his body in the secret chamber. They used a special type of camera to locate it. Here's the x-ray of it. And it's right beneath this cavern right here under the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, I don't know if they have plans to exhume this body. They believe that the Ark of the Covenant is also within this chamber as well. Now, what's horrifying about all of this is in the Bible, it says specifically to avoid false prophets claiming that he has secretly returned and been found in the desert or in secret chambers. Which is actually insane because that's exactly what they're claiming this is the body of Christ hidden in a secret chamber in the desert. All this biblical stuff just keeps popping up here recently, and it's honestly pretty terrifying. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that this is the body of Jesus somehow hidden under the Great Pyramids of Giza? Because we don't know what they're there for.
From Savannah to Berwick to here in Georgetown, residents across the county tell me they woke up to the same strange noise overnight. While some were just confused, others say they were concerned for their safety amid the ongoing war overseas and want answers.
I've never heard anything like it before. Definitely very scary sounding.
Very loud to the point where it was concerning.
Locals say it woke them up and continued for as long as 20 minutes.
What is that?
Sounded really piercing, like a leaf blower times 100.
I have no idea what it could have been, but something other than just guns.
And they're not alone. Dozens of residents took to social media sharing videos from Savannah, Georgetown, and Berwick of the peculiar noise.
Sounds like a damn
One of the most
idiot.
common guesses, military operations. All 3 locations where the noise was reported surround Hunter Army Airfield. However, we reached out to the base. They denied any involvement or knowledge of the noise.
Either way, at least give people a warning so we can put some earplugs in, okay?
If it is involving training, that they should tell the public, especially in today's political climate. We just never know.
For now, your neighbor's guess is as good as anyone's, because it's a mystery.
Guys, I know that this is about to sound insane, but you need to follow with me. There is a real theory that aliens are actually just humans from the future, and the scientist that was working on this entire thing is now one of the 12 who have gone missing. One of them was Amy Eskridge, and her father was actually a NASA rocket engineer. They worked on all of this together. She said that aliens are not from another planet, they're actually just us from the future, and she said that they're called P-47s and P-52s. She said that a catastrophic event happens and forces humans underground for thousands of years. And after that long with no sunlight, your eyes would grow massive, your skin would lose all of its color, your body would shrink, and you would lose all of your hair. That is the science of what would happen to a human if you were underground for that long, and that is literally what people have been describing aliens to look like for decades. Hello? And if you're somebody that's ever seen the movie Interstellar, that is literally the ending. It was never aliens, it was us the entire time. And if this is true, that means that the catastrophic event that forces us underground hasn't happened yet, obviously. But a retired NASA engineer and a congressman have both publicly discussed this. And on Kalshi right now, millions of dollars are riding on whether the government is going to confirm that aliens exist before 2027. And obviously the scientist that was just researching all of this information is now gone. This is obviously just a theory, but this is what all of her research was based on, and now she's gone. And she's one of the 12.
Crazy. I ain't delivering that food either. What the hell type of bridge is that?
Why is everyone apologizing in the comments after hearing this song? The song is performed by a robot named Terra, a humanoid machine created in the early 2000s that was designed to sing and look like a real person. At first it seemed like a harmless project, but when the video appeared online, many viewers started feeling an unexplained sense of discomfort, a classic example of the uncanny valley effect. But the creepiest part is that some people claim that after listening to the song, strange and frightening things began happening to them. That's where the theory started that the song might carry a curse, and anyone who hears it has to apologize. Under the original video, there are already hundreds of thousands of apology comments, but whether you believe it or not is up to you. Do you believe it?
I believe it.
Device that allows you to legally evade America's surveillance system. Because my first attempt to not be recorded by the millions of cameras that track you everywhere you go didn't really go as planned.
You kind of like what White Clan is doing shit like that.
Clannish? So I invented something new to outsmart the cameras watching us and not be racist at the same time. It's essentially a giant backpack with a camera on one side that live streams to the TV mounted on my back, therefore obscuring my body and face, making me entirely invisible. It works pretty well on dogs. So I figured it'd work on surveillance cameras too. They're basically the same thing. But a lot of people have asked me how much this anti-surveillance device costs, so I thought I'd break it down for you. I used a GoPro and a chest mount and cords, which were like $400. The TV was just, I just stole it from my family, but I think it was like $250 a few years ago. My dad's North Face backpack from 1970 I thought would be priceless, but apparently you can get one online for only $110. Then there's this huge battery to power everything that hangs below, and unfortunately that part is, that it's super heavy, but I think it was like $1,500. But if you want to do this the right way, you'd equip another TV on the front side and another camera on the back so you can be truly invisible from all sides. So all in all, it's only going to cost about $3,000 for this anti-surveillance device. Would you buy one?
See, you can stab me down below. $3,000, man, for anti-surveillance. When you out in public, would you spend those coins on it? Like I said, it looks super heavy, bro. So you're gonna be out too long. I was thinking outside the box for sure, though.
Something that happens in the realm of consciousness as a result of music. In other words, it is more than just something pretty or something exciting. It actually changes the brain and can cause a deep change in the corpus callosum, which is the bridge connecting the left and right hemisphere. We combine music with silence. When they asked the Buddha, what's the easiest way for a person to get to nirvana, Buddha said, sound. Music is processed in more regions of the brain than we ever imagined. Music is a great example of how different parts of the brain can act together. Music can have a profound, even physical effect on the brain. Even physical effect on the brain. Music may actually affect brain size. When he compared the brain scans of 30 musicians with those of 30 non-musicians, he found a corpus callosum table that neurons connecting the brain's left and right hemisphere, the bridge from the left to the right. And keep in mind, you are desperately trying to get from the left to the right. And he found that the corpus callosum, that bridge connecting the left and the right, were larger among musicians.
He said, I'm out.
Sir, look at this, look at this, sir, look at this. Sir, my friend, no, sir, don't run, sir, don't run. Sir, wait, is that you? You're the one that took my girl last week, bro. You're the one. Let me show you shit there. Look at this for 3 seconds. Hey, are you ready? Relax. Are you relax, bro? Are you coming up? Where are you going? Are you ready? Come back here.
What the?
Where are you going?
Drop this coat, no.
Come back here. Where are you going? Where are you going? Are you ready? Excuse me. Look at this for 3 seconds. Are you ready, bro? Are you? Come here, bro. Come here. Wait. Look at this.
I didn't know that.
Don't give me your phone. Uncle, don't run. Look at this. Come here. Come here. Look at this. Don't run. Come.
What the slow as it?
All mystical creatures exist. These people not that creative. If they put it out there, it's most definitely out there somewhere. What if they told you certain animals didn't exist so you wouldn't remember? Because if you remember they'd existed, you would have remembered that this wasn't always like this. The Blimiers, gnomes, fairies, leprechauns, unicorns, all the motherfuckers, they exist somewhere.
A group of scientists managed to recreate a star in a jar by taking a perfectly spherical vat of water, having an air bubble in the center of that vat of water, and then passing a sound wave through it. Now, when they passed the sound wave through that air bubble, it essentially caused all of the water to try to expand, but because it was in a pressurized system, it could not. So it caused the air bubble to collapse upon itself rapidly, producing heat and then light. Now, notice how they created a star in a jar in a pressurized system with a liquid medium. Now, when you look up at the sky, with your naked eye, you can literally see the stars changing shapes and colors in real time. I see this all the time in Hawaii. Most people don't even believe me when I say that because they don't even bother to look up at the sky. But why does NASA show us all of these CGI images of fiery balls of gas in the void of outer space? How are the stars combusting if they're in a void? How is it oxidizing? It makes no sense. Now, I'm not saying that I know everything about the entire universe, but what I am saying is that it is very obvious that all of the stars and all of the planets rotate around Polaris, and all of the ancient cultures knew this. They knew that this universe that we live in is a perfectly mathematical equation. It's all one piece. It all fits into the larger puzzle. And we have lost touch with reality, living on the giant potato spinning in outer space. But I made this video for entertainment purposes only.
You have way less time than you think. Imagine life as 2 bank accounts. One is 80 years of time, and the other is 80 years of subjective experience of time. This is the amount of life that is actually felt, absorbed, and lived from the inside. When you are 5 years old, 1 year is 1/5 of your experience time. When you are 10, it is 1/10. When you are 20, it is 1/20. Every year becomes a smaller fraction of your lived experience, and this is why time begins to feel faster. If you live to 80 years old, this model suggests something brutal. By around 7 years old, you have already spent half of all of your lifetime subjective experience of time. By 18, you've consumed around 70%. By 30, 80% of your experience of time is gone. So...
Damn.
Something going on. So y'all don't think it's strange that everybody have meteors in their city right now? Y'all don't think it's strange that it's fucking March 19th already? Y'all don't think it's strange that we almost over the new year already? Y'all don't think it's strange that we can't even really eat food no more like we used to? Or we don't even know what the fuck we want to eat or drink? Y'all don't think it's strange that we can barely sleep? Y'all don't fucking think it's strange that the fucking daylight saving time is fucking weird? Y'all don't think it's strange? Y'all don't think it's strange?
And that's not all, y'all. Bro, look at this shit, bro. Look at this. What kind of sense does this make, man? What?
That is really going on. This is crazy.
Right. What is this?
The United States is about to get a blizzard, a polar vortex, a heat dome, and an atmospheric river all at once. The entire country, all of the United States, every one of our 50 states is about to get hit with extreme weather all at the same time. This is not just one region. This is not just one storm. A top meteorologist has said that every one of our 50 states is about to get hit with extreme weather conditions.
Did y'all see what happened to Hawaii? Look at this. Hawaii got flooded out. Look at the color of the water. Bro, what? Where did that water come from? Where did that water come from? Look at that, bro. That's crazy. All the things going on in Hawaii. This is a big storm. Look at this. There was a crazy blizzard in Michigan that brought almost 5 feet of snow, y'all. Look at this. The snow made an imprint on the door. Look at that jump, bro.
They call it Blizzard Elsa here in the UP of Michigan. As you can see, the snow is up pretty far.
Those cars are gone.
That's also a fence line over there. And the Ford Ranger on the boat is now gone. And the other boat buried.
Bro, that's crazy.
got over 4 feet of snow on this winter.
And then meanwhile, on the complete other side of the world, you have them going through a heat wave, bro. Mother Earth is really going through it, and I know y'all feel that one too. But let me know what you guys think about this video, man. The shift is here. We are in the midst of it. Let's continue to get.
Just a couple weeks ago, a security camera in a bar in a small town in England captured something on camera that is leaving people really confused. The footage shows a man sitting at the bar talking to a few bartenders. Nothing seems out of the ordinary until you look at his drink. Seemingly out of nowhere, his drink gets pushed over, and if you watch it again in slow motion, it seems to be pushed by something. The bar in this video is over 167 years old, and the store owner claims that his restaurant's been haunted for as long as he can remember. What do you guys think? Comment below.
Could be an edit. Well,
you won't believe how much unseen footage there is of Ruby Franke and everything she did not want us to see in Hulu's new docuseries, Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Franke. In this new series, raw footage has been exposed that never made it on her YouTube channel. We will be hearing from her 2 eldest children and her husband.
Fake being happy. Okay? I don't know if I can right now.
This 3-part series exposes various moments where Ruby becomes extremely abusive towards her children, forcing them to stay and do things that they didn't feel comfortable with, only for the purpose of filming content for her channel. It's very unsettling, and it makes you wonder how bad it must have been at home when the cameras were off. Now, things only got worse when Ruby met Jody Hildebrand, and everything took a very dark turn. As their relationship got stronger, Ruby and Jody began believing these crazy conspiracies that the world was going to end, and that Jody was the chosen one. And they talk about it on the 3-part series, Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Franke, which is now out on Hulu.
Here are the craziest things
where
that
those
ever
content
happened
creators
at Walmart. So one day, an 18-year-old was craving milk. So he decided to steal not 1, not 2, but 26 gallons of milk from Walmart. Oh, and he did this dressed as a cow. And if that doesn't sound weird enough to you, you'd be surprised to learn that even though he made himself stand out in the cow costume, he managed to not get caught on the spot. Next, on Black Friday in 2013, a customer and his son were freaking out in Walmart because they thought that his ex-wife was possessed by a demon. And so they locked her in their car and set up an exorcism in the parking lot by throwing sacred oil at her, which might have been the reason why they ended up divorcing. Also, back in 2013, a 16-year-old was going into labor, and she gave birth in a Cannon City Walmart bathroom. Now, there was panic for a moment because the baby wasn't breathing, but luckily, one of the store's employees were CPR certified and they revived the baby. I guess Walmart really can help you live better. And finally, in 2011, at a Walmart in South Carolina, customers witnessed a man named Avery Blandon end the life of his wife, Lilia Blandon, while she was working inside the store's bank. Avery stabbed her multiple times, and she sadly passed away on the way to the hospital. He then tried to escape the scene, but he crashed his SUV and was caught by police. But what's weird is that the store stayed open during the investigation, only in Walmart.
You won't be able to stare at this.
Not surprising. She's like morphing. Y'all saw that too, right? Her hair was like morphing into something else. If you stare hard enough, you can notice the change.
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time. Part 4. The Grinch has a well-known backstory about hating Christmas. However, eventually in the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story may continue longer than we think. It is clear that the Grinch isn't exactly right in the head, but during one of the Grinch's wacky stunts, he could have gotten a head injury. This injury would later take a toll on him as he grew old and caused him to lose his memory. After him and his dog died, they were given a new life in a realm called Halloween Town, where they now lived as Jack Skellington and Zero. He later reunites with his love for Christmas, just like he had when he was alive. Both eventually wear a Santa suit, both deliver presents, and both have a dog companion. It may be possible that How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Nightmare Before Christmas are tied together.
Are they? Those 2 plots interconnected?
Morbid Facts, Part 545. Last year, Wisconsin elementary school teacher Madison Bergman faced 10 felony charges for having an inappropriate relationship with her 5th grade student. Investigators were shown disturbing screenshots of their text conversations, in which Bergman would talk about how much she enjoyed making out with the young student. The two also exchanged over 100 letters, love notes, and artwork over several months. She was reportedly still graping him up to 3 months before she was supposed to get married to her fiancé. Bergman has pleaded not guilty to all 10 counts. Ohio sex worker Linda Lassess prompted a multi-state public health alert after police discovered she'd slept with more than 200 clients while knowing she was HIV positive. Officers worked hard to contact her clients and suggest getting tested so they could seek the proper treatment. Randy Woodfield was drafted by the NFL to play for the Green Bay Packers in 1974, but was soon cut from the team due to a series of indecent exposure arrests. He would go on to become the I-5 killer and is believed to have been responsible for over 40 murders throughout the early 1980s.
More you know.
So you like anything creepy, but have you heard of the case of Selene Delgado? There is a television network in Spanish called Canal 5, and they had a segment called Al Servicio a la Comunidad. This segment would come on around midnight, and it would show missing people from the 90s to 2000s. In 2001, a photo of a missing girl named Selene Delgado Lopez, who was 18, showed up on this segment. There wasn't much information about this girl besides her name, age, and location of where she had went missing, which was in Mexico City. Some people found this odd because other people who were listed as missing on this segment had a full bio with greater detail. Viewers started to feel uneasy while watching this segment because as soon as her photo popped up on the screen, the TV channel freezes for a few moments and then happens.
Selene Delgado López se ignora su paradero desde el 28 de mayo del año 2000.
Fast forward to 2020, and there was a Facebook page with the name Selene Delgado Lopez. Many users who were familiar with this missing girl started to freak out because they realized that they were already added as her friend and couldn't remember adding her in the first place or even accepting the request. To make matters worse, they didn't even have the option to unfriend her, and many started to think that this Facebook page was haunted by Selene Delgado, while others thought it was just a complete hoax. Let me know what you guys think about this.
Okay. Creepy. The Five Nights at Freddy, but I've seen those animatronics, bro. Like
Here
that.
are the strangest things that were found in the middle of nowhere. Back in 2014, two German friends were walking through a forest that they used to play in as kids, when suddenly they noticed two pipes sticking out of the ground. They continued to walk until they stumbled upon a hidden doorway that went underground. They entered the creepy corridors until they stumbled into a room that was flooded and had a weird-looking machine. That's when they realized they were in an abandoned control bunker that was used by the Soviets during the Cold War. Next, in 2016, a group was flying in a helicopter over the forests of West Russia, and they spotted another helicopter that was abandoned in a swamp. This turned out to be an Mi-6 model that originated in 1956, and it was the largest and fastest helicopter at the time. It was revealed that the helicopter had been there since 1981, when it traveled from Moscow and it crashed because of engine failure. But thankfully, the crew of it did live to tell the tale. And finally, on Route 90 in Texas, you can find a Prada store that's surrounded by nothing but desert. This was actually art that was made back in 2005 and cost $120,000 to make. Inside the store, there's even real products from their 2005 product collection. But unfortunately, the doors aren't real, so you can't actually buy them.
This new true crime docuseries is so creepy and bizarre, and it had me hooked from the moment it started. This is like Unsolved Mysteries meets X-Files, and it might be the greatest thing I've seen all year. Out there, Crimes of the Paranormal features 8 true crime stories that have some strange and creepy connection to something paranormal. If you love documentaries, make sure to hit follow because because I post daily and you'll never miss out on what to watch. Whether it's someone getting drove to madness from believing in something paranormal like lizard people and committing a horrific crime, or people blaming things like murders on something paranormal like witches. It's fascinating and yet very scary, and I think a part of the reason why it's so scary is because the filmmakers did a really good job of grounding this series in reality. Out There, Crimes of the Paranormal is releasing exclusively on Hulu, so if you want to see this, make sure to head over there and check it out. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments.
People are freaking out realizing what happened on this film. Whatever you do, do not watch it. There's a lot of disturbing films out there you've probably all heard about. The reason this is so disturbing is because it's real and because of what happened. This movie released in 1980 and was instantly banned in many countries. Essentially found footage. They find this tape which contains all of these videos on it which are messed up. When I say the name it will get taken down, but that's it. Shortly after the movie came out, the director was arrested and actually charged. Let me explain. Basically, the movie was so realistic, the scenes in it actually looked like it was real life. Now, I'm not going to talk about the things that happened, but you can probably guess. It's pretty brutal. There's lots of things that involve animals, humans, and stuff I can't even talk about. When it came out, many critics and people viewing it thought it was genuinely real. But Dyatlov, the director, was arrested and eventually actually charged with murder, saying that he had actually unalived the crew who were the actors in the film. They were able to prove that all of the people who were in the film, the actors, etc., were perfectly fine and he was let off. It was a film, no one was actually unalived. But unfortunately, the things that happened to animals in the film was real, like they were actually extremely harmed during the making of the film. Some problems there, and this has of course caused a lot of controversy over the years. A lot of people still say that this movie is cursed, and if you watch it, you're watching real stuff happen. It's definitely an extremely disturbing watch, so I don't recommend it.
I have
thanks for pulling me off.
In my eyes right now. People always say, like, Appalachia, #1 rule, you don't go out after dark, right? Even I know that. They say you don't look to the woods. That's cardinal rule, right? You don't know what's looking back. Found this video, I'm gonna play it for you. It's not even really a video, it's more of like an audio clip of somebody who was in the woods at night. He recorded, the only way I could describe it was disembodied screaming throughout the forest.
We hear something.
Animals with Down syndrome.
Do they? Or are those pictures edited?
Morbid Facts, Part 546. In 1983, Carla Faye Tucker murdered a couple with a pickaxe while attempting to rob them, striking each of them more than 20 times, and later saying she felt a sexual thrill with each blow. Tucker was sentenced to death for her crimes, but after converting to Christianity during her time in prison, there was a worldwide campaign to spare her life, even involving Pope John Paul II and the brother of one of her victims. However, Texas Governor George Bush ultimately blocked the appeal, saying, "The gender of the murderer did not make a difference to the victims," and Tucker was executed by lethal injection in 1998. South Carolina woman Mary Wilson was using her blow dryer when she suddenly passed out with her hand on top of it. The dryer continued blowing hot air directly onto her skin for at least 20 minutes, causing third-degree burns all the way to the bone. Wilson was rushed to the hospital, where doctors found nerve damage so severe they had to amputate her entire hand. The yellow outline is the size of SeaWorld's parking lot. The green dot is where orcas will spend their entire lives.
Didn't they like shut down SeaWorld, I heard, because of, you know, the horror stories behind the orcas and how they just like stayed in captivity? I've never been there. Maybe Seeker's been to see
Here are the craziest things to ever happen at Walmart. So one day, an 18-year-old was craving milk. So he decided to steal not one, not two, but 26 gallons of milk from Walmart. Oh, and he did this dressed as a cow. And if that doesn't sound weird enough to you, you'd be surprised to learn that even though he made himself stand out in the cow costume, he managed to not get caught on the spot. Next, on Black Friday in 2013, a customer and his son were freaking out in Walmart because they thought that his ex-wife was possessed by a demon. And so they locked her in their car and set up an exorcism in the parking lot by throwing sacred oil at her, which might have been the reason why they ended up divorcing. Also, back in 2013, a 16-year-old was going into labor, and she gave birth in a Cannon City Walmart bathroom. Now, there was panic for a moment because the baby wasn't breathing, but luckily, one of the store's employees were CPR certified and they revived the baby. I guess Walmart really can help you live better. And finally, in 2011, at a Walmart in South Carolina, customers witnessed a man named Avery Blandon end the life of his wife, Lilia Blandon, while she was working inside the store's bank. Avery stabbed her multiple times, and she sadly passed away on the way to the hospital. He then tried to escape the scene, but he crashed his SUV and was caught by police. But what's weird is that the store stayed open during the investigation, only in Walmart.
A horror movie that is based off of a Stephen King story that was written and directed by Longlegs writer and director Osgood Perkins, that was produced by Saw legend James Wan himself. It's called The Monkey, and it actually comes out next month, February 21st, and my friends and I got invited to go see it early at a private screening. And let me just say, the kills were hilarious, they were very over the top and wacky the entire time. We were having a ton of fun. There was also a few fun cameos sprinkled in throughout the movie, which I really enjoyed, but I won't spoil that for you. We had a blast. Thank you, Neon, for setting it all up.
This is why it's always a bad idea to go to graveyards at night. Urban explorer Frank from Franco TV explored a graveyard in Peru. As he explores the area, he sees a group of people far in the corner. Not knowing what's going on and worried for his safety, he hides in a tomb waiting for them to leave. 30 minutes gone by, they turn off the lights and begin to leave. Scared someone may still be there, Frank waits 30 more minutes. As he makes his way to the tomb, what he finds is disturbing. Frank finds a circle of candles and what looks like a voodoo doll next to a star. He also finds a container with unknown contents. As Frank tries to communicate with the spirits in that area, he hears laughing coming from one of the graves. Worried for his safety, he decides to leave and says he doesn't want any problems or to be followed by anything there. As Frank makes his way out, he sees something horrifying. What looks like a person can be seen peeking at Frank from the corner of the tomb. But when he checks around the tomb, there's no one there.
He's a brave soul for even being there, man. If I saw somebody perform the ritual, I'm minding my business. I don't need that energy around me. You know, we avoid that, Seekers.
So, Amy Slaton from TLC's 1,000-Pound Sisters was just arrested, and the way she was arrested is an actual fever dream. Like, honestly, I feel bad because if this goes the wrong way, she could lose custody of her children. So on Labor Day, Amy Slaton, her boyfriend, and 2 children went to a safari park in Alamo, Tennessee. It's basically like a drive-through zoo where you can feed the animals and pet them if they let you. We don't know exactly how it went down yet, but sources are saying that Amy was bit by one of the camels. I don't know if the injury was so bad that Amy called the police, or if it's just the park's policy to call the authorities anytime someone is bit by an animal, but the police were called, and when they approached Amy's car, they immediately smelled some green flour, if you know what I mean. And when the authorities looked inside, they allegedly saw the flour and some special mushrooms in plain sight. Amy and her boyfriend Brian Lavorne faced charges of illegal possession of Schedule 1 and Schedule 6, and because the children were in the car, they also faced 2 counts of child endangerment. We know that the children are safe and staying with Amy's family members, but Tennessee's Child Protective Services are still investigating, so this could end very badly for Amy. And as of now, I'm pretty sure Amy is still in the Crockett County Jail on a $10,000 bond. I am unaware if 1,000-Pound Sisters is even filming right now, but if you are, let me know in the comments.
This is Britney Drexel, and in April 2009, she was on a spring break trip in South Carolina with some friends when she went missing. And since then, there have been no leads in her disappearance and believed homicide. Britney was 18 years old in April 2009, and she wanted to go on a spring break trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina with her boyfriend and some of her girlfriends. But when Britney asked her mother if she could go, her mother said no because she didn't know any of the other teenagers going with them and there were no adults accompanying them on the trip. This led to an argument between Britney and her mother that lasted for several days. Eventually, on April 22nd, Britney asked her mother if she could go over to a friend's house for a couple of days to kind of calm down. Her mother agreed and Britney left, but instead of going to a friend's house, she went down to South Carolina. A few days after arriving at Myrtle Beach, Britney called her mother and let her know that she was at the beach, but her mother assumed that she meant a beach trip to the shoreline of Lake Ontario. So her mother, Dawn, was not alarmed at the fact that Britney said she was at the beach and still had no idea she was actually down in South Carolina. That evening, around 8 p.m., Britney left the Bar Harbor Hotel where she was staying with her friends to walk to another hotel to meet up with an old friend that was down there. This was about a 1.5 mile walk from the hotel where Britney was staying with her friends. And security cameras at this other hotel, the Blue Water Resort, show Britney entering and then leaving at 8:45 p.m. After leaving that hotel, Britney was texting her boyfriend, who was actually still back in Rochester, where he had to stay because of work commitments. At 9:15 p.m., the text from Britney suddenly stopped, and her boyfriend became extremely worried. He called their friends down in Myrtle Beach, but nobody knew where Britney was. After that, Britney's boyfriend called her mother, Dawn, to let her know what was going on. The search for Britney began the next day, and in her hotel room, police found the clothes that she had packed, but not her purse or cell phone. This is the area where Britney disappeared from, and they were searching in this area. Police were also able to track her cell phone pings, and they actually led down a path about 50 to 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach. And then the pings suddenly stopped. After that, areas near where the cell phone ping stopped and all around Myrtle Beach were searched. But no sign of Britney was found and police were never able to identify a suspect. And then in June 2016, police announced a new lead in Britney's case, and that's where I'll start with part 2.
Hey man, sometimes, bro. No, not sometimes. Mostly all the times, man. Parents know what they're talking about. Her mom didn't want her to go and look what happened. Parents, man, they got that gut feeling. They can sense when something's off. Listen to your parents, man.
From the hills, Sanatorium. This is a place in Kentucky where very few people will still dare to venture, and there is a lot of that has to do with just how twisted the history is. One of the darkest stories that ever came out of the Sanatorium were the stories of the body chutes. This is very much real, and it was beneath the building. What it was, and as you can see, is it was basically a tunnel system that was constructed at the height of patient death. There were so many patients dying, at least one every single hour, that they had to figure out a way to get rid of all the bodies. In that underground system, they built a 500-foot-long tunnel. That tunnel had a conveyor belt where they were just funneling bodies out of the building. It is truly considered to be one of the most haunted places in the United States, and for sure in Kentucky, which is why when I go to Kentucky, I always have my Kentucky After Dark passport. This thing is truly something that you can take with you to basically every paranormal haunted stop.
I didn't even know something like that existed.
Here's some of the scariest things that have been caught on camera. Part 5. On the evening of July 21st, 2021, a doorbell camera at a Los Angeles home captured one of the most disturbing scenes I've ever seen. At around 8 p.m., the young woman at the house was preparing dinner while waiting for her husband to return home from work. It was a very hot day, so she decided to open the window and let the evening breeze in. This caught the attention of a man on the sidewalk, and as he looked at the young woman, he decided to try and get a little closer.
I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive?
I know he lost his mind.
Are you sure? I just have a couple questions for you.
He continuously repeats the same sentences as he rings the doorbell and knocks on the door, claiming to only have a few questions. The woman never responded to the man and claims she'd never seen him until that point. As he's walking away, her husband comes on the doorbell speaker asking who he is, and that's when he reveals his true intentions.
Are you sure? Who are you?
I just had a couple questions. I just wanted to ask you about making sure.
What?
I want to wait for a killer to have a knife and a gun. And I just, I'm gonna knock on the door.
Thankfully, none of his fantasies played out as he walked away for good. Soon after, he was arrested a few blocks away, and when asked for his name, he claimed to be the Holy Spirit. It was later found that his real name was Christopher Solms, and a background check found that he had an impressive job history and was actually a normal person not too long ago. What caused this rapid change in appearance and personality is unknown, but the footage captured that night will continue to haunt the internet.
That was some chilling footage, definitely.
On the afternoon of June 4th, 2005, two friends, 22-year-old Henri Murray and 23-year-old Pete Van Niekerk, decided to do some spearfishing off of Miller's Point, which is in False Bay, South Africa. The two young men put on their dive equipment. They're not allowed to scuba dive, so just snorkeling equipment, and then they swam out in the water about 200 meters off of shore till they were in about 6 meters depth of water, so maybe just over 20 feet deep of water. At some point, Henri, he spots a fish, he spears it, and then the two men are swimming back up on the surface with their secured fish, when all of a sudden, Niekerk hears his friend, Henri, yell out, "Hey, there's a shark, we need to get out of here." Well, Pete, he looks, and sure enough, there is a massive great white shark swimming on the ocean floor right beneath them. So the two men, they begin to swim towards shore, hoping to avoid the shark's attention, but unfortunately they are not able to avoid the shark's attention for long. There are several people watching from the beach at this point. One of them, whose name was Dave, will come into the story here in just a bit. But several people watching from the beach and a jetty, and then you have the two young men swimming in the water trying to escape the shark. Well, the shark breaches the water in between Pete and Henri. It's unclear how far the two men were away from each other, but the shark comes up out of the water right in between them, and then it begins to lunge and bite at Henri. Now at this point, Henri, he takes his spear gun and he's jabbing at the shark, and he's able to fend it off twice. It comes back twice, biting at him, and he's able to spear this shark, well, not spear it, but hit it with his spear gun and deter it. Unfortunately, the third time the shark came back, this was not the case. The shark came back from behind him and kind of underneath him and grabbed him by the legs and swallowed him all the way up to his chest. So his arms were pinned inside the shark's mouth as well. So he's almost completely inside of this shark. The shark lifts him up out of the water as Pete watches in horror, and the people from the beach are watching this too. That guy Dave, who was watching from shore, said that this shark must have been nearly 20 feet long, or over 6 meters, to be able to swallow this man like that almost completely. So it swallows Henri almost completely, it slams him back down onto the water, and then it just disappears with him in its mouth. Pete obviously can't do anything. He's able to swim back to shore successfully. There are some reports saying that he tried to spear the shark at some point, but this was unsuccessful or did not deter the animal, whether or not that's true. Anyways, he makes it back to shore. They launch several search attempts with police divers and everything. The only thing that they're ever able to find is part of his torn wetsuit and part of his weight belt and I think his snorkel and spear gun. So it's assumed that Henri was swallowed entirely by the shark.
Very scary and unexplainable doorbell camera clip. This one though may show some kind of flying creature. Then a giant dark shadow whooshes past the screen. The shadow is huge and it moves swiftly, way too large and fast to be anything we know of.
Yep.
As it flies by, it even knocks snow off the nearby streetlight, showing us that something really was there.
Ain't no bird.
It must have been just out of the shot, and it flew right above the houses. Some say the shadow itself could have been the creature, like maybe some kind of dark, ghostly spirit. Another thing that makes this so real is the fact that the OP, Charlene Excelsior, has never posted anything like this ever on her TikTok page. As you can see here, her videos just consist of nature and animal content. No other creepy creature videos like this one. So it seems this is a real video that was picked up on her security cameras late this night. But what do you guys think it could be? The Mothman or some kind of other flying cryptid? Or maybe even a ghost itself? Or could it somehow all be explainable?
Could be explainable. You never know. She's trying to sneak out. They pulling her in the living room. What the fuck? What the hell is that? She don't know. Someone broke in.
So apparently like 20 images of UFOs got leaked on Reddit. They're allegedly from a government program that's studying them. Now look at this one picture of this UFO. This one freaks me out. I don't even think we have that technology or it exists. These images look like they were captured on military equipment or some type of Navy jet. Now there are some parts that have been blacked out on the bottom and sides, and I think that's like the navigation stuff from these military aircraft. Now why would you black that out if these are fake? They've clearly been studying and researching them for decades. We even had that UAP disclosure hearing in Congress where they said that Navy pilots were encountering these on a daily basis off the coast of California and Florida. Could these be aliens, or could they be interdimensional beings? Have they always been here? All this stuff is so freaky and a little suspicious if you ask me. I feel like there's a lot of momentum right now, and they might be preparing us for something in the next coming years.
Really? Off-roading near the border. It could be a skinwalker trying to trick you. I don't trust that. He better than me, bro. I would have skirted off.
This isn't a normal horse. I've looked up a weird situation like this. It's actually a skinwalker trying to form itself like an animal.
I told you about those skinwalkers, man.
Earth is going through a spiritual flu right now, and a lot of us are going through it too. So many of you probably feel like, oh my God, I don't know why I feel like this, baby. It's because the Earth is vibrating higher, and we are vibrating with it as well. Okay, here's the thing. A lot of people feel like CERN machine is the reason why the weather has been all crazy. One day it's hot, one day it's cold. No, it is because Mother Earth is having flu symptoms right now. And like I said, we had those too. So a lot of us probably feel right now like you are very weak, you are very fatigued, because I've been sleeping like a newborn baby. Do you hear me? Right? That it's not the real flu. Okay, a lot of us have a lot of sinus headaches, right? A lot of pressure behind the eye, that pulsing, pounding headache at the crown of your head, that ear ringing, the throat chakra itchy, and all that good stuff, right? Y'all, it's not the actual flu. It is a spiritual flu. At least that's the name that I'm giving it, okay? Like I said before, y'all, we are going through a split from the 3D to the 5D world, right? We are going through this big transformation, this major transition. And as the earth is vibrating higher, we as humans, or spiritual beings, we are vibrating at a higher frequency as well. So right now, our body is going through rewiring, right? It's purging, it's detoxing, it's doing all types of funky shit. And I ain't even gonna lie to you, baby. It's a little bit too much for the girl to handle, but chosen ones, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for.
Okay, anybody else feel their vibrations off, man, in 2026, bro? Like she shared about the earth vibrating, changing. Maybe we're feeling that too. Or she said only a select few can feel the changes the earth is going through. Tell me down below, seekers, if you guys are one.
I haven't been to Walmart in like 6 years since I used to film those Walmart videos exposing all the unfortunate food. But today I went to get some Lego and I noticed they have robot janitors now. So janitors out of work, another job taken by AI. And then also it's self-checkout. So cashiers losing jobs. This is like a microcosm of the macrocosm of what's coming around the corner. With millions and millions of people out of work because of AI, then they'll beg for a new system because the current one's not working, but it's not broken. It's built that way. Now, it's pretty clear they want our reality synthetic. They're putting no effort into making it more organic. That's going to be up to us. This is clearly a part of the plan.
This information right here, y'all about to find out, is very deep and very interesting. Do y'all know that Tyler is not even his name? His name is really Emmett Perry, not Tyler. But stay with me, walk with me. Why his name is Tyler? This is why his name is Tyler. Tyler or Tiler is an officer in a Freemason lodge who acts as the outer guard responsible for securing the lodge entrance against unauthorized visitors. In other words, y'all, he's a gatekeeper in the business of Hollywood. He's a master Mason, top notch. Look, y'all, this is real actual information. The reference include brother, a WB, worshipful brother, which is a title for a master of a lodge. Based on 2021 Facebook posts from a Masonic related page, Tyler Perry is recognized as a brother in Masonry. Because I know some of y'all like, nah, man, you lying. You conspiracy theorists. What is this? This is not made up. This ain't AI. This real. This brother is highly worshipped by a lot of black people. Y'all know I ain't playing. Even the character Medea is worshipped. A lot of politicians, actors, athletes, etc. There are sellouts that look like us. Look, y'all, even when you type it's Tyler Perry and Mason, look what pops up. The first picture, you see the first picture at the top? Black and white. That's the colors that they wait.
The whole Facebook movie is a giant lie. It wasn't like this autistic guy named Mark Zuckerberg just came up with this great idea. No, dude, that was a Pentagon program called LifeLog that wants to basically collect all your data for your whole life. What day did the government stop the LifeLog project? February 4th. Now, look up what day was Facebook registered as a business.
February 4th, 2004.
The exact same day. They don't even hide it, dude.
It was created by DARPA.
Yeah, and then they handed it to Mark Zuckerberg. They own Instagram, Facebook, they own WhatsApp, they own all of it, dude.
You have.
Wow. I never knew that, bro. Those dates, they do line up, man. That's eerie, bro. LifeLog. Trying to collect all the info, bro.
No idea. Do you know what this is? You've been under a spell your entire life. You didn't even know it. This letter is proof that the world already ended. And if you can't understand it, you may not be who you think you are. You may be one of the few who are sent to change everything. It's a letter from a child born in Turtle, an ancient name, and he writes, I remember the time before the Spirit came.
We didn't have to ask what life was. We were it. We walked barefoot and fed each other. We knew how to speak to animals, and they spoke back. Then it changed. A shadow came from the north, riding on a silver ship. It whispered into the minds of kings, and the kings forgot they were human. The spirit grew inside their temples, hijacked their gods, renamed their demons, and turned them into religions of conquest. And this spirit, let me be very clear, is not a person. A hunger that can never be full, a cold algorithm of empire that promised salvation but brought enslavement. It claimed to civilize but left ruin. It conquered not just lands but memory. When it reached Turtle, our songs disappeared, our drums were silenced. We were taught to hate our grandparents. We were taught to erase our own faces.
This letter was an allegory, but it's very true. What happened to Turtle happened to the whole world. And the scariest part, you were born after the apocalypse, so you didn't even know that anything had ended. Comment below what you believe Turtle was. And if you want more on this, read the book called FAMS, Food, Forest, Foraging, Hunting, Anti-Fragile Mind Society. I love you all. Peace. The free audiobook is in a link at the top of the page.
It's you thinking.
Sounds to me like we need to get some new conspiracy theories, because all the old ones turned out to be true.
Damn. Straight up admitting it.
Conspiracy theorists are up something like 37 to nothing.
We up, bro?
Senator Kennedy for the win.
Man, that's crazy, bro. Are you speaking
y'all
facts?
greedy asses see what's going on with Mama Nose and that damn gumbo, right? You see, the problem is y'all trust people too much. Soon as shit start trending, y'all do what the trends say. You had numerous people go and get that gumbo and said that gumbo was nasty. You had numerous people go and get that gumbo and say Mama Nose had an attitude. And then you had another woman say that she wasn't about to give her money to a lugaru. And I don't think you know what that is. But you see, the quickest way for somebody to do something to you is through your stomach. Now all of a sudden, Houston Health Department is shutting her down. They're investigating her gumbo stand. You got people saying they got sick after they ate this gumbo. Now let me ask you this. What y'all think she put in this gumbo? I heard a girl say, gumbo ain't supposed to be that dark. Now me, I ain't a gumbo specialist. I ain't never had gumbo before. But tell me what you think she put in this gumbo. Matter of fact, look at what this lady said about Mama No.
Okay.
Listen to this.
Okay, you are. I'm back from my It's awful experience. It was terrible. I haven't even tasted the gumbo yet.
It's supposed to be that dark?
Wow.
I was so embarrassed and so humiliated. I wouldn't finish it out and finish my picture.
Look at that. Look at that. Somebody said they overcharging for the gumbo too. Saying they charging $25 for a little cup of gumbo. And people saying that you can get a big thing of gumbo for $13. Come on now. Cause you a celebrity? Mama knows. People love you because you Beyonce, mama knows.
Jamie Foxx just exposed the fact that they really tried to clone him in this video. The thing about it, he sprinkled some truth in it, and then he also sprinkled some, he was not trolling. The white part, maybe he was exaggerating it, but he's telling the truth. Especially the part when he said he was in good health, so he don't understand how he had that stroke. Y'all, listen to this video.
And so I snuck my phone to see what people were saying. I've just been in this hospital, and I couldn't get my mind around that I had a stroke. I'm in fucking perfect shape. The clone shit threw me. Yes. When they said I was a clone, that made me flip in the hospital. That's it. These motherfuckers are trying to clone me. I didn't have a stroke. So I'm sitting in the hospital bed like these bitch ass, and then I saw me walking through my room. But I'm white, so I see the white me.
But he had a Caesar too?
Just not all that, the white me. And I'm like, and I'm trying to get their attention.
And then y'all seen the other buddy face, he like, damn, I don't think we should be talking about this. But like I said, Jamie Foxx is serious, y'all. Why would he wake up from the hospital bed and think, damn, I'm in perfect good health. How the hell I had a stroke? And then they're trying to clone me because he said he's seen it. He must know they really be doing shit like that.
You need to watch this video when it comes to AI data centers and our drinking water.
There's really no such thing as a closed loop system. It's still picking up water. That water in a closed loop system is being contaminated. It's picking up anti-corrosives, anti-scaling agents, biocides, and then what is happening is that water gets what's called blowdown. It gets blown back down into the aquifers or the rivers, or like what Ohio EPA is just right now allowing, they just dump it right back into the river. The water treatment facilities are not capable, they do not have the filtering media, and they're not capable of filtering those particular types of corrosives. And so that just makes its way down into our aquifers, and most of these communities are small towns and farming communities that have wells set on aquifers. So this water it's this gray sludge basically is not being cleaned, it's not being filtered, and it's being dumped right into our drinking water, or it's being dumped into a water treatment facility center that cannot handle that kind of load.
That's crazy, man. They're contaminating the water now?
You're actually a product in the Crown Corporation. It says copyright, Crown copyright at the bottom of your birth certificate. It's a copyright certificate. They own you. They own us. Imagine that. Imagine a living being giving birth to another living being, and then that living being signing a document, giving away, because the word register means to give up the rights of. That's what the word register means. Why would I give my children, my living, breathing, conscious, spiritual, intelligent being that I've co-created with my partner, why would I then give it to a Crown corporation government? Government has insidiously invited themselves into every aspect of our life, and that's why it seems like we're in a spider web and we can't get out of it. Oh, if I give up my legal identity, then I can't achieve anything. Well, guess what? Totalitarian tiptoe has been creeping in since 1667. There are two kinds of law on the earth. One is called civil law, which is the law of the land, and one is called maritime admiralty, which is called the law of water. Maritime admiralty is banking law, and the law on the maritime admiralty says that you, because you came out of your mother's water, are a maritime admiralty product. This is why the ship is sitting in its berth and is tied to the dock, and the captain has to give a certificate of manifest to the port authority, because money is changing hands. This is why when you were born, you have to have a birth certificate. It's got to be signed by the dock, because that's where the ship is tied to, is the dock. So the dock signs your birth certificate. Why? Because you came down out of your mother's water. You came down her birth canal. You are a maritime admiralty product, and therefore your birth certificate is signed by your mother. And where your mother signed on the birth certificate, get it, you will see it does not say parent or mother. It says informant. Your mother was informing the bank that she has just produced another product to be bought and sold.
Damn, what the hell?
Because you don't own your child. You signed them away using a signature. You signed your nature with a sigil. Sigil is a symbol used in witchcraft. You are born into this world, and the word born comes from barren, which means lifeless, dull, and boring. The word calendar comes from calends. Calends is the first day of the month the Romans had to pay off their debt. Calendar is an invention by Pope Gregory to remind people when to pay taxes. You are born into this copyrighted timeline, and this copyrighted timeline is on your birth certificate, which means you are owned by them. When you get a letter and your name is in full capital letters, that's your corporation, not you. You can't tax a physical body, but you can tax a corporation. You are the I am, and your consciousness is identifying itself with the corporation, which is attached to the system. Identifying yourself with the body and the name is keeping us attached to this system.
So basically they did that so they could tax us, bro.
Don't ever in your effing life use one of these to cook microwave food. Let me explain. If you don't want to pay the ultimate price, never put your food in here. Okay? 10 years ago. Here's the instruction manual. It clearly states in English, warning, users may experience heart disease, kidney failure, fluid in the lungs. That if you use this, you might be feeling faint, nausea, discomfort, headache, coughing, irritation of the mouth and throat, stomach, discomfort, not even chest, palpitations, and pain. Heartburn. That's basically what it says, alright? Problems with respiratory. So never in your life use one of these. Put your food in this to cook. I know we all grew up with them, but this is just the hard truth.
Bro, we grew up with them. We grew up with a lot of stuff that's unhealthy for us. A lot of our folks was lazy and just ignorant, bro. I don't care, bro. Like, you gotta think about this. A lot of us grew up in the hood. You telling me you couldn't figure out nothing for 10 years, 12 years? You telling me you had to feed me unhealthy stuff for 10 years consecutively, 15 years consecutively? You ain't do no research? I'm not saying my folks in particular, but I'm just saying, like, there's no excuse, bro. A lot of parents is lazy, bro. And a lot of households are lazy. A lot of people are lazy, bro. It takes, I understand we in the information that's put out there now more commonly, but the past 6 years, you should have been got rid of this, bro.
The government.
Tell me down below, Seekers, man. Do you guys still use a microwave? I've been watching these clips, bro, updating what I know about the world. I don't use microwaves anymore.
Tried to cover up the truth about Gerald, that the Dolphin actually exists and did abduct that man. Meanwhile, footage emerged showing helicopters landing near the incident site, law enforcement personnel gathering, and numerous public officials getting involved in the investigation. Many people began to focus their attention on the so-called Gerald. In any case, officials are trying to stifle everyone's speculation. Some believe that the man was not chosen at random. According to his account, the one orchestrating all of this is a dolphin named Gerald. The fact that a person could persistently repeat the same story while in such an exhausted state actually made people feel it wasn't a joke. The public began to suspect that behind the claim of a dolphin kidnapping a man and forcing him to participate in some kind of underwater construction, there might indeed be some undisclosed details. Gerald is no longer just a mocking nickname, especially given statements like, "It is preparing for the second phase." To date, officials have yet to provide a clear and consistent explanation. Leave a comment below.
The clone theory exploded on the internet in recent years. Look at the pattern. Selena Gomez disappeared, came back different. Jim Carrey spoke about illusion and power, then shifted. Avril Lavigne. The internet says she was replaced entirely. Kanye West after 2016. People say he wasn't the same. Different voice, different face, different energy. Same theory goes for all of them. They suddenly disappeared and came back as different persons. But why? Why would they replace their own celebrities? And what could have happened to the real ones?
I don't know.
So you telling me that this whole time there were benefits to showering or bathing in the dark? Literally, there are people in the world that does this, and for the first time ever, I have found my people thinking I was the only one who did this before bed. You motherfuckers. Cause bro, that's smart. That's sensory reduction. That's your body. Low key. Exhale. It's not the water that feels different when the light's off. It's the dark. Don't try it. Try one dark shower tonight before you rest. No music, no phone, just you and that candle. And relax. And tell me your body don't feel different.
They're finally shutting down, y'all. And this might be the best news I've heard, bro. And you too, because who knows what these people were feeding us? Hundreds and hundreds of these big food chains are losing their power, and not because they want to, but it's because we're waking up. Listen to this, yo. Domino's is closing 200 of its locations worldwide, including 172 locations in Japan. Not to mention they have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, so Domino's is going down. We know y'all were in the list. This guy over here, Papa John's, who look like he's changed over the time, over the years. Look at that. Am I mistaken, bro? But nonetheless, over 200 Papa John's are closing its doors worldwide. Pizza Hut is closing down 250 of its locations, and that's only the beginning of the year. So who knows how much they're closing down this year. Wendy's is expected to close 300 to 600 of its locations worldwide, bro. Something is going on with Wendy's. Ever since Dave left, it has never been the same. Apparently, Denny's has been closing down its locations ever since 2025, and there's about 300 more about to close its doors this year. Popeyes has also filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they're closing down 136 stores between Georgia and Florida, bro. And Arby's. And honestly, I don't even know how Arby's hasn't made the list yet. I never see anyone in the parking lot. Anyone that's trying to eat this is diabolical, bro. This thing must be a glitch in the Matrix. Because what most people don't realize is that all of these places, they're all connected. They're all interconnected. The same suppliers, the same system, it's the same pipeline feeding y'all the same crap. I mean, look at this. They're all feeding you the same thing. That's why it's the same food everywhere, the same fast food everywhere, bro. We cannot get away, and now it's finally shutting down. Do y'all notice that all these quote-unquote celebrities and public figures, they're withering away now, bro? And that's because we're not feeding the beast system no more, bro. The shift is here. I've been telling y'all. Like I said, all of this is taking place in the beginning of the year, bro. There's a lot more to come. Let me know what you guys think about this video. I told y'all the shift is here. We're in the midst of it. Let's continue to get it. Peace out.
This McDonald's employee recorded this video and posted it on Instagram right before murdering her manager.
I got sent home early yesterday. I got sent home early today by the same person. I'm telling you, she's a bully. This isn't funny. She needs to understand that just because she's a mother and got children doesn't mean that she can come in the store, you know, disrespecting people, talking to them like everybody's beneath her. Don't have to stop. She's a bully. I'm telling you. She's a bully. She could keep being a bully if she wants to, but that is going to catch up to her. Because it ain't funny at all. It ain't.
And this was all because she was sent home early from work. On July 10, 39-year-old Jennifer Harris and 26-year-old Afeni Mohammed were scheduled to work the same shift at McDonald's in Michigan. Jennifer was a manager and had been working at McDonald's for over 15 years at this point. During their shift that morning, apparently there was an argument and Afeni was asked to leave work early. Afeni left the McDonald's but then apparently returned with a knife, wearing a mask, and she entered through one of the employee entrances and stabbed Jennifer over 15 times. This was all going down in front of customers at the drive-thru, and one customer tried to stop her, but it was already too late. Unfortunately, Jennifer did lose her life, and Afeni was charged with first-degree premeditated murder and is now being held on a $25 million bond. And let me remind you, this was all over a McDonald's job, a most likely part-time job. Let's normalize quitting our jobs when we're not happy, because it's not worth it.
This is the preach. So a woman lost her life over a McDonald's job, like she said, pretty sure it was part-time. just because she was getting sent home early. I don't know why she was getting sent home early, but it's not worth it, man. If you ain't happy at your job, just leave. 'Cause it looks like you'll just make yourself go crazy and go down a dark road.
A story about the blind woman who could see ghosts. So this girl who was blind at birth lived with her father on a single ranch house. So because she was blind at birth, she had spatial awareness. Pretty much she knew how far apart everything was based on what she touched. One day in the living room, the blind woman was talking to a ghost named Ellie. So Ellie said to the blind woman her name and asked her why her face was so messed up. So the blind woman then asked, "Why is my face messed up? What's wrong with it?" And at that point, the father then heard the conversation and snagged the blind woman out of the room and said, "Who were you talking to?" The blind woman then replied, "I was speaking to Ellie," and then the father laughed. Over the course of the next few months, the blind woman started speaking to over 13 ghosts. And each time she would speak, her father would get very, very upset at her for speaking to ghosts. So one day, the blind woman fell in the kitchen and had to call the paramedics. And once the paramedics arrived there, she asked, "Can my dad come with me to the hospital?" The paramedic then replied, "Your dad's been dead for 6 years." Make sure to like for a part 2.
Was she talking to a spirit?
Which countries have the most serial killers? On average, in your lifetime, you will walk past 36 murderers / serial killers. So that actually got me thinking, which countries have the most serial killers? And of course, there's a study, and here are the results. The top 21 countries with the most serial killers, so the countries with the least, are Sweden, the Netherlands, Scotland, Poland, Spain, and Hungary. Placing 15th to 11th, we have Austria, Brazil, Mexico, China, and France. Okay, now this is the top 10 countries that have produced the most serial killers. We have Russia, India, Australia, Germany, and Japan. Placing in the top 5, we have Italy with 97, Canada with 106, South Africa with 117, England with 166, and the United States with 3,204. Now send this to someone who you know lives in one of these countries because you made the list. Elon!
That's a shame. I knew USA was going to be on top.
This man in a wheelchair got hit by a semi-truck. In 2007, 21-year-old Ben Carpenter, a wheelchair user from Michigan, experienced one of the most terrifying ordeals imaginable. While crossing a busy intersection, Ben's wheelchair accidentally became lodged in the front grille of a semi-truck. The driver, completely unaware, began driving, dragging Ben along the highway at speeds reaching nearly 50 miles per hour. For 4 agonizing miles, Ben was pinned to the front of the massive vehicle, unable to escape or signal for help, as wind and debris battered his face and body. Witnesses on the road were horrified, some thinking it was a prank or a stunt, until one frantic driver finally managed to pull in front of the truck and wave it down. When the truck finally stopped, Ben was still sitting upright, dazed but alive. Miraculously, he sustained no major injuries. First responders and bystanders were in disbelief. How could someone survive being hurled down a highway, inches from death, for that long? The sheer luck, or perhaps divine intervention, of that day made national headlines, and Ben Carpenter's name became forever tied to one of the most unbelievable survival stories in modern history.
That's the scene I think about. He was sitting in front, and the truck driver had no idea. What was he listening to, man? See, that's what you gotta be aware, bro. He had no idea. Right in front of the grill of his truck.
This is why you should be scared of driving down dark roads in Ireland at night. Jane said that one night in the early 2000s, her and her husband were driving down a dark road in Ireland at night. She said that they always played deep, intricate house music to zone out while they drove. They didn't really have conversations on journeys. It was almost like meditation. The headlights of their van lit the immediate darkness. Just a few meters ahead on the hard shoulder, an old woman came into view as she shuffled along in darkness. Jane said that her and her husband acknowledged her simultaneously. They said, "What the heck is she doing here?" Jane said that almost immediately after their acknowledgement of the old lady, time slowed down from about 120 kilometers per hour to walking speed. She said that it was almost as if they had hit an invisible wall but without impact. She said that time jumped forward in increments, like watching a scratched DVD. The hunched old lady was now approaching Jane's side view mirror. She said that the old lady's head detached from her body, but on a long neck. It was as if a human head was attached to a snake. Jane said that her head, still facing the ground, slithered up to the window, bringing them face to face. She had green eyes that glowed in the darkness, with vertically elongated black pupils, set into a face covered in scales, with murky shades of green. And as her mouth opened wider and wider, Jane saw teeth that were tightly packed, sharp, and protruded more and more the wider she opened her mouth. Then, all of a sudden, time resumed, and they continued on their journey.
Gruesome Facts You Didn't Know, Part 225. In 1559, King Henry II of France was participating in a jousting tournament. During a match, he was severely wounded in the eye and brain by a splintered lance. He died of his injuries 10 days later, with his death leading to the decline of jousting as a sport in France. Actress and Playboy centerfold Yvette Vickers was last seen in 2010 after withdrawing from her family and friends. When neighbor Susan Savage noticed cobwebs on the mailbox, she went inside to investigate. Upstairs, she discovered her mummified body. Lieutenant Colonel William Henry Rankin is one of only 2 known persons to survive falling from the top of a cumulonimbus thunderstorm cloud. He was forced to eject from his jet when his engine failed. It took him 40 minutes to finally reach the ground. During his descent, he suffered from frostbite, and severe decompression caused his mouth, eyes, ears, and nose to bleed.
40 minutes?
This is one of the strangest and most mysterious houses in the world. This is the Winchester Mansion. Found in San Jose, California, this house is over 138 years old. But its backstory leaves a lot of people really confused. So this lady's name is Sarah Pardee. In 1862, Sarah got married to William Winchester. William's family was really rich and famous. And the reason for that is because his family invented the Winchester rifle, which was really popular to use in war at the time. Unfortunately, just less than 20 years after Sarah and William got married, William passed away from tuberculosis, leaving Sarah with a lot of money. Immediately after William died, Sarah moved all the way across the country to San Jose, California, where she bought some land and began building a house. But the thing is, Sarah never stopped building the house. In fact, the home was under construction for over 38 years. But what's inside the house is the weird part. So the house or mansion itself is 24,000 square feet. The house has over 160 rooms, 2,000 doors, 47 fireplaces, 6 kitchens, and over 10,000 windows. Most people's houses look like they were planned out, but it seemed as if the Winchester Mansion got bigger and bigger as time went on. Now the reason for the house being mysterious is because of how it's structured on the inside. There are doors that open up to brick walls and 12-foot drops to the outside. There are also several staircases that lead to nowhere, and multiple secret rooms. To this day, people are discovering more and more rooms every single year inside of the home. But the biggest mystery is why Sarah Winchester made her house so big and confusing. Many people believe that Sarah's house was actually haunted by the spirits of those killed by her husband's gun, as the Winchester rifle was really popular in war and claimed a lot of lives. This is backed by many witnesses who have reported seeing lights turn on by themselves, hearing strange mysterious voices and footsteps, and even seeing ghosts roam the halls. Many experts believe that Sarah Winchester was trying to build her house into one giant, complicated maze. In doing this, the ghost would get confused and wouldn't know where to find her. But the real reason for this house being so weird is unknown. Today, thousands of people go to tour the house on a yearly basis, but unfortunately we'll probably never know the real reason as to why the Winchester house is so mysterious.
That's a maze. I would not want to live there.
So I just got the most terrifying DM of my life today. Basically, someone sent me this screenshot. They say that while they were in the middle of watching my video on Annabelle, they randomly got a notification that said that liquid had been detected in their lightning connector. Now, what's so weird about this is they claimed that their phone had not been anywhere near water all day when they got this message. And the message happened right at the start of my Annabelle video, which, if you don't know, is where I showed actual footage of Annabelle leaving her cave case, and for a while people have claimed that that footage is cursed. So the fact that this happened is very, very unsettling to say the least.
Horror movies that would be impossible to survive, part 4. A Quiet Place. Now for me, I just talk way too much, so having the fact that I have to be quiet or I'm gonna be unalived by some alien creatures that only react to sound, I'm cooked. Also, if this happens in the spring or the summertime, I have allergies. Bro, I'm sneezing everywhere. You don't want to be anywhere around me if The Quiet Place ever happened. You then have Cabin in the Woods 2012. You are set up from the beginning. You are not supposed to survive. And even the characters that did end up surviving at the end of this movie, they were not supposed to. They had every creature, every maniac, every slasher, every anything you can think of, all being ported to that cabin. And then as soon as they got to the mainframe, everything was let free. And if you know the ending of Cabin in the Woods 2012, you know it was absolutely insane. You then have The Descent. Now for me personally, I'm not going cave diving. On top of going into a cave that no one has ever explored yet. You then go into the cave with lighters and all this other stuff that you think is going to protect you. And you get inside of the cave and you get lost. People start losing their mind because the flashlights start losing battery. You then run into some weird humanoid-like creatures known as the Crawlers. That's like a vampire-ish creature. And let's be honest, you're done.
Yep. Especially The Quiet Place, man. If you ain't quiet, it's cooked, buddy. We ain't surviving. Maybe he's at the hotel or something. Hiding.
What is the scariest game you've ever played? I get this question almost every time I post a video or stream. And even though I've probably played well over 100 horror games, it's probably something like Dead Space, Outlast, or PT, right? It's actually something you might not have heard of. The scariest game I've ever played is a game called Lost in Vivo. But what makes this game so terrifying? Lost in Vivo takes inspiration from many different horror classics and puts them into one horrifying package. Every different type of scare you can imagine is in this game. It's also one of the only horror games I've ever played that gets scarier the longer you play. If you're not someone that gets scared easily, give this one a try.
Austin Vivo. Should I try the House Seekers?
Guys, what is going on with children? Because I just heard the story of these 4 girls in the 5th grade that came up with a plan to unalive another boy in their class, all because he cheated on one of the girls. First of all, who is even dating that seriously in the 5th grade? How do these kids even know what cheating is? We're talking about 10-year-olds. So this all happened in Arizona at Legacy Traditional School when a group of 4 girls, all aged 10 and 11 years old, were overheard by other students planning to stab another boy to death during recess. Apparently, each girl had a role in this plan. One was in charge of bringing the knife to school. Another girl was supposed to be the lookout. The 4th girl would be the one taking his life. Apparently, they had gloves ready so that fingerprints wouldn't be left behind, and they set a date for this entire thing. When other students overheard this crazy plan, they told teachers and police were called. The most chilling part about all of this, well, there's 2. Number 1 being that the girls knew they had to wear gloves to avoid leaving fingerprints behind. And the second part is that 3 out of the 4 girls showed remorse, but the 4th girl was laughing and smiling throughout the interrogation. They were arrested, but then were released to their parents, and then they were suspended from school. And let me tell you, this reminds me a lot of the Slender Man case in 2014 when 2 12-year-old girls lured their friend to a park and stabbed her 19 times.
The average person has about 6,000 thoughts per day, and according to psychologists, about 80% of them are negative. Hear me out. Expressing gratitude towards loved ones gives you an immediate increase in happiness. And if you don't believe me, go try it and then try to come back here and tell me I'm wrong. Social rejection can feel like physical pain, and I, for one, am a firm believer in the research that shows that acetaminophen, like Tylenol, can actually dull this pain as it would a headache. Married people are more likely to self-pleasure than people who live alone, okay? So just keep that one in mind. Humans have this automatic reaction to default to assume somebody is telling the truth, and we will automatically second-guess ourselves the moment somebody disagrees, which is why gaslighting can be so dangerous. Having backup plans can actually hinder your main goal. Having a plan B makes it much less likely for plan A to succeed, because in your head you're like, oh, well, I have plan B to fall back on. No, you gotta have plan A if you really want it to go. Sarcasm kind of gets a bad rap for being something like rude or negative, but it can actually increase your creativity and encourage abstract thought, especially when you're using it with people that you trust. Nowadays, the average high schooler has about the same level of anxiety as a 1950s psychiatric patient, and honestly, I'm not sure what that means about today's society or about how they treated psychiatric patients.
Russ McKamey, the creator of the most intense haunted house in the entire world, was just arrested for attempted murder. Russ created the horror experience McKamey Manor, which is essentially torture. The actors are allowed to physically harm you, they can shave your eyebrows, make you eat stuff, hold you underwater, and all of this can go on for up to 10 hours. And now Russ has been charged with SA and attempted murder of 2 separate women. This did not take place at the house, though. This was in his personal life. But people have been worried about Russ's behavior for years. In a Hulu documentary about the house, multiple people sat down and said that they thought Russ may have bad intentions with the house. One woman claimed that she used the safe word multiple times, which is supposed to allow you to leave, but she was ignored. She eventually had to go to the hospital because of her injuries, and they were so bad that the hospital called the police. And all of this is allowed to happen because you have to sign a 20+ page waiver in order to even go into the house, and it lists hundreds of things that they can do to you. But people travel thousands of miles to get to the house, so they may feel a little bit of pressure to sign it because they went all that way to be there. Russ's bond was initially set at $1,000, but after the second woman came forward, it was set to $100,000. But Russ says everything said about him in the Hulu documentary was false, and now he's suing them for over $8 million.
He was decapitated and eaten on the bus. Timothy Richard McLean Jr. was born on October 3rd of 1985 in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He was described as outgoing, full of life, and adventurous. Tim worked as a carnival worker, and this was a job that matched his energetic personality and love of travel. On the evening of July 30th of 2008, 22-year-old Tim boarded a Greyhound bus that was headed to Winnipeg. He had just gotten off of work and was ready to head back home. The journey was long, so Tim chose a seat in the back of the bus. He spent most of his trip just listening to music in his headphones and texting his friends. The bus made a stop in Erickson, Manitoba, and a man by the name Vince Lee would board the bus. Vince was sitting in the front but eventually made his way back next to Tim after a rest stop. Tim ended up falling asleep and had his head resting on the window pane with his headphones over his ears. Without warning, Vince took out a large knife and started stabbing Tim repeatedly. The other passengers on the bus were thrown into chaos and panic once they realized what was happening. The bus driver ended up pulling to the side of the road, and he and those other passengers fled that bus. Once everyone was outside, Vince started to decapitate Tim's head, then showed his head through the window so that everyone could see, and then he started to eat his flesh. Once police arrived, the passengers of that bus were outside crying and throwing up while Vince was still inside of that bus consuming Tim. Vince refused to get off of the bus, which resulted in a police standoff for several hours. About 5 hours later, Vince tried to break through a window to escape, but that's when he was arrested. Parts of Tim's body were placed in plastic bags, and his ears, nose, and tongue were found in Vince's pockets. Tim's eyes and a part of his heart were never recovered, and they just assumed that Vince consumed them. Once Vince was arrested, it was revealed that he was a recent immigrant from China, and he was suffering from an untreated schizophrenia. Vince claimed that he did this to Tim because he was given divine instructions because he believed that he was an evil force threatening humanity. Vince was charged with second-degree murder but was not found responsible due to his mental illness. The NCR verdict meant that Vince would not be incarcerated but instead would be in a secure psychiatric facility. Many believed that the ruling was too lenient, while others argued that it highlighted the need for compassion and better mental health care. After all that, Vince ended up being released from the psychiatric facility and given a new identity.
There's a really famous mystery called the Dyatlov Pass. It's about these 9 really experienced hikers in the 50s. They set off on this journey and they reached the first checkpoint, but they didn't make it to the second checkpoint. And there was a big search that goes out to make sure they're okay. The army gets involved and they go and follow the route to find the hikers. And they come across these prints in the snow that led down the mountain. And some of the prints were bare feet, some had 1 shoe and 1 barefoot. And it's all 9 of the hikers, and they find 3 of the hikers, and they're all deceased, and there's one who's naked, there's one who's up in one of the trees, and there's these deep gouges on the tree as if some animal had been scratching at this tree. There's more footprints that lead away from those 3, and the footprints lead where the other 6 hikers were, and they're all deceased as well. And the women were wearing men's clothing and vice versa. Some of their clothes had trace levels of radiation, and some of them had parts of their face removed, it looked like. Lips, nose, ears, it almost looked like surgical precision removed removal. There was a person in there who their chest had basically been caved in, but there's no sign of anything that could have done this damage. And suddenly the Soviet government says, oh, we're going to shut this investigation down. All we know is that the 9 hikers who died from an unknown, unnatural force. Sealed.
Which was? They found traces of radiation on top of that mountain, so what was going on there? Important questions. Something peeking.
Maria was sentenced to prison after she lit her daughter's essayer on fire. So this is Maria, and this is her daughter Veronica. And when her daughter was 13 years old, he was held at knife point by their neighbor, and he essayed her to the tune of the R word, I can't say on TikTok. Now, it was reported that he ended up serving 9.5 years in prison. But after he got out, he started harassing the mom at the bus stop, saying things like, oh, how's your daughter? How's she doing? Really messed up stuff, and to the mom's point, showing zero remorse for what he did. Then he got off the bus, and he went into a local bar. That's when Maria got off the bus and went to a gas station. She bought a gallon of gas, and she had a lighter. And she walked up to him at the bar, poured gas on his head, and lit him on fire. Then she just walked out and started strolling down the street. The dude ends up with 90% of his body burned, and several days later, he dies at the hospital. When police find her, she admits to the whole thing, says that she just really wanted to hurt him, not unalive. She ends up getting 9.5 years, but she gets out in about half the time.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. One evening, Jim Woodford, a wealthy atheist man who had contracted a nerve disease, was surveying a property that he wanted to sell. He had become quite dependent on painkillers as a way to manage his pain. He was sitting in his truck watching the sunset when he decided to take more painkillers. He said that he waited for the relief to set in, but instead of relief, he felt like his feet were on fire. He said that he looked down to see if his truck was on fire, and then the feeling of fire spread rapidly throughout his whole body and seized his lungs. He said that he realized that he had overdosed. Jim said that all of a sudden he became hyper aware of all of his shortcomings in life. And although he hadn't prayed since he was a kid, he cried out the words, God forgive me, before collapsing onto the steering wheel. Jim said that his spirit left his body and plunged into a realm of darkness, where the land looked scorched. As he walked, he came to what looked like a pit. The walls of the pit looked like black coal, he said. As he looked down, he saw the dim flicker of a red light. He then heard the sound of 2 large doors creaking open. He said that a large demonic creature that had a body made of fire and smoke began crawling out of the pit. He said that it was so hideous and evil looking that not even Hollywood could replicate it. And it was sniffing, as if it was searching for him. It finally locked eyes with him. Jim said that he could just feel its hatred for him and all of mankind. It started crawling faster towards Jim. He said that the creature got out of the pit and stood before him. It knew his name. It said, Jim, we're here for you. This is your time with us. Jim was terrified and he cried out, God help me. Just then, Jim said that the creature was struck with a beam of light and 3 angels appeared and saved him. He said that they took him to heaven and one of the angels reviewed Jim's life with him. Jim realized that he had not done enough in life and that he was very selfish and materialistic. Jim said that he also encountered Jesus and he told him that it was not yet his time. Jim said that he was sent back to his body and he woke up in the hospital. He had been clinically dead and on life support. When he spoke to the neurologist after, he said that Jim had no brain activity. After Jim recovered, he became a Christian and wrote a best-selling book called Heaven, An Unexpected Journey.
Wow. Changed his whole belief system. That one experience, man, can change everything to a person. Where we at?
That's 27-year-old Hannah Freeman after she was given a 7-day sentence. She's a total daddy's princess. Let me tell you what she did, but first, she's a 4th grade teacher from North Ridgeville, Ohio. So she and her boyfriend had broken up in April of 2024, and on November 26th of that year, she had gone to his apartment. They kind of had some words, and then he thought she left. But when he looked out, he saw her getting into his vehicle, and she stole 2 backpacks that each had a laptop in them, his medication, wallet, his car keys. So he called police to report what she did. He told police that she had been going to his place of work and following him home and basically stalking him. He later found out that she racked up over $1,000 on his credit card at Amazon. And then the very next day, November 7th, she had followed him to work, and I guess he looked out and saw her sitting in his vehicle, so he once again called the police. She denied being in his vehicle or stealing things out of his car the night before, and she even told police that she was invited to be there where he works and that they had had lunch together at Raising Cane's. But the ex said that is absolutely not true. So the police ended up looking at video surveillance footage that showed that she came to her ex's work 33 different times on 19 different days over a 30-day period. So she ended up getting arrested that day and received several felonies. The charges include menacing by stalking, 2 counts of burglary, 2 counts of aggravated theft, and identity fraud. She was indicted in December and took a plea deal in June of 2025, where she pleaded guilty to 3 misdemeanors: disorderly conduct, obstructing official business, and possessing criminal tools. And come to find out, this isn't the first time Hannah Freeman has had trouble with the law, despite her dad being the chief of police. But I'll do a different video for that, otherwise this one's going to end up being really long. So come back later for part 2. But anyway, at her sentencing hearing, the judge sentenced her to 18 months of probation or community control, with the first 7 days to be spent in jail. And her attorney lost it. He immediately tried to withdraw her plea and said that he and the prosecutor had agreed there would be no jail time. And the judge is like, okay, well, you guys didn't discuss that with me. I'm the one who gives the sentence. And they go back and forth for a couple minutes arguing about it until the judge finally just says, this is done. Now let me back up real quick. Right before the judge announced the sentence, he gave Hannah the opportunity to speak, and she was literally reading something off a piece of paper. Now, like I said, I'm going to make another video about her dad, who is the chief of police, and her mother, who has a history of getting arrested for shoplifting. And we'll also talk about what she did in December of 2022 when she got a noise violation and tried to get out of being arrested by telling everybody, my dad's the police chief, so I won't get in trouble. But make sure you come back for that. I'm going to end this by saying, I guess it doesn't matter who her dad is because she got in trouble. And 7 days in jail is a slap on the wrist for what she did. I've seen people get life sentences.
That was weird.
Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those eyes?
The hell is that? Creepy headed. Open the door. Bro just trying to game, man. Got an entity coming after him, bro.
With Halloween right around the corner, let's get right into this. When you think of a haunted doll, you most likely think of this. Well, in 2013, a mother bought her daughter a frozen Elsa doll. Basically, the doll would sing Let It Go in English, and for the first 2 years, nothing really happened. Until in 2015, it would alternate from singing in English to singing in Spanish, and that was not a setting on the doll. In December of 2019, the mom claimed that the doll would turn on at random moments of the night, and she had never changed the batteries after having it for 6 years. The mom then secretly threw the doll away in the trash can and was alarmed when she found it hidden in a bench 2 weeks later. Her kids still claim to this day that they had no idea that she even just thrown away the doll and do not know how it appeared again. I really want to...
How'd it get back there?
A security guard at the Bryson Avenue Mall located in Virginia took this photo in 2011. It would later be turned into police, but the woman seen here was never found. For context, the security guard's name was Sean Mercado, and he worked the night shift at this mall. But the mall had been having strange things happening for like weeks. Like on after hours, there are store alarms going off that nobody's ever found. They're hearing people running through the mall, but again, they never see anybody. Until one night when Sean Mercado goes out to have a cigarette, he's just kind of patrolling the parking lot, and he goes back to enter through the employee entrance when he saw this woman staring back at him from inside the mall. He takes a photo for proof, and then he radios for backup, and he goes in after her. He claimed to chase her as fast as he could, but he eventually lost her inside that mall. And despite a police investigation, she would never be found.
Yeah, I would not go back to that mall, bro. It's haunted.
It's one of those pictures. One of the pictures where you don't see it at first, right? This photo comes out of Wisconsin State University. It's from 2012, and it was taken by Aaron Silva. What looks like just an abandoned hallway, if you look very close to the back left, you'll see it. The outline of a person who had been watching him from around the corner. For context, this was a very common tradition at this school. A lot of people would dare each other to go inside the abandoned infirmary that was just off campus. You go inside using just a flashlight, and whoever stays in the longest eventually wins. But Aaron was never going to make it out. After more than an hour had passed, his friends eventually became concerned, and they go in looking for him, where they found him and described him as cut from the mouth down to the center of his chest. This was a hugely disturbing case for police, but they eventually do retrieve his phone, and they zero in on this picture, a picture which they believe shows who might have done this to Aaron. And if you increase the brightness, you can see the outline even better.
And people were daring each other to go in that building?
Scaretober
Hell
Day
no.
11. This is Norman. Around 18 years ago, Norman was built to appear in a music video for the band Interpol, and for some reason, people seem to adore him. However, Norman then disappeared for 10 years. Then, in 2014, an auction on iCollector.com titled Animatronic Creepy Ghoul Puppet from a Music Video was listed, and sure enough, it was Norman. Norman resurfaced after 10 years, and it was shocking to see what horrible, disturbing shape he was in. Despite having a strong fan following, no one bought it, and he disappeared once again for another 5 years. He was then found and acquired by a YouTuber, and, well, the rest speaks for itself.
My surprise, look at him. Would you buy something like that? Those weird creepy eyes looking back at you, man. That ain't for me, bro. Seekers, fun fact about me, I don't do dolls, man. Creepy as hell.
So there's a level that's a theme park, and it features carnival games. Who runs it? Entities. I don't like this. Clowns, like rainbow wig, white painted face. If there's clowns, it's not. They're actually friendly. No. They'll actually help you exit the level, but you gotta stay away from roller coasters, music, but even children. Wait, what? If you look at the roller coasters closely, you'll see that there's skeleton remains. Well, that ride sucks. Beware of the carnival music. It will lead you to a dangerous entity that looks like a killer clown with superhuman speed. What would happen if he catches you? He tortures you in front of a live audience until your eyes turn black and you feel nothing. After, you become part of the live audience. What about the children?
What the heck? Stay with them clowns, man.
Don't do this TikTok trend. Wait, why? So it started in Japan. Kids would write a phrase on their wrist, F74. When they fell asleep, they would dream of a parallel dimension. Wait, low key? No, seriously. No, I don't believe it. I want to try, okay? No, you actually don't. Why? Don't. Because if you don't escape, you don't wake up. Well, how do you escape? So, you're only given 10 hours to find the door with F74 on 10 hours? I could do it in 2, bro. I'm a speed runner. Dream.
I don't care if that sounds fake or cap or not.
I have an update on the serial killer who is on the loose right now in California. If you missed my previous videos, essentially there's a serial killer who is on the loose right now in Stalking, California. Currently he has been confirmed to take the lives of 6 people, but it's believed that he's actually linked to a couple of other murders. Most recently though, the Stalking killer actually attempted to kill somebody, but they got away. Her name was Natasha Latour, and she lived in a tent in Stockton, California. The 46-year-old says she was asleep in her tent when she was awoken to the sound of gravel crunching around her tent. She then walked out of her tent where she was greeted by the Stalking killer wearing all black and a black mask holding a gun pointing at her. Natasha then had a fight or flight response where she sprinted towards the killer to try to rush him. On her way towards the killer would duck down and shoot her 9 to 10 times. A train then began to pass by and Natasha actually found a way to escape. She was trudging along the streets of Stockton where she eventually collapsed in the middle of the road. Thankfully though, a couple came by and were able to take her to a hospital. She then recovered from her wounds, but unfortunately, she didn't have much information about the killer or his face. Can't really blame her, obviously there's a lot of adrenaline in a moment like that. But I can't help but feel like we're getting closer to finding out who this killer is. And look, as I find more information, I'll make sure to let you guys know, but...
Sounds like a crazy story, bro. She survived that too? Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video, comment down below, hit that post notification bells. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.